And there's this object orbiting Earth. It's on NASA's server. It's estimated 15 tons. They won't mess with it because it makes no sense to mess with it. You don't know what type of self-defense system or mechanism this thing may have. It's estimated to be there for 13,000 years. And how we get this number is the NSA analyzed a signal from it. A couple of astrophysicists analyzed the signal, and some ham radio operators back in the 50s also got the same signal, all independent, came up with the same translation, decoding of the signal, that it was saying it was from the Epsilon Boötis constellation. Time magazine picked this up in 1960. Then I saw some reports of it following Sputnik, when Russians sent Sputnik to orbit the moon and come back. And I said, this thing has course correction. Then they discovered that it was in a polar orbit. It had changed course and went into a polar orbit, something we couldn't do until just recent times. In order to create a lot of the megalithic structures that you've seen, like the pyramid complexes and everything else, you need a polar orbit. But this thing has been orbiting in a polar orbit from the 1950s. So I looked into Epsilon Boötis. I'm like, well, let me research this place. Found out there's something called a void there. This void is called the Boötis void. Michio Kaku, the famous theoretical physicist, talking about it. And he said that in that void, it looks like light's being bent around that area. And he says that we think that it's potentially it could be a cloaked advanced civilization. The more I dug into it, I realized that the Black Knight satellite, or just object that's still orbiting our planet right now, I think it's watching us. And I believe that it's using quantum entanglement to transmit everything in real time, what's going on Earth, back to home base at Boötis.